Hello, this is Andy, and I'm reading a book called Practical Malware Analysis by Michael Sikorsky and Andrew Honig. Guys, thanks for the great book. Among other things, this book describes how to dynamically analyze malware. To do so, a cordoned-off host should be created, in my case, a virtual machine. I'm using Vmware Player for my virtual machine. The author recommends it not be connected to the internet when the malware is running, because we do not want our malware to spread. A separate box is created to impersonate an internet connection, providing all the services and IP and the internet would. Malware can be better analyzed with this setup. InetSim, the recommended software, impersonates DNS port 53 and then HTTP port 80 and many others. So, well, InetSim is an application that runs on Linux, and I found a really easy Linux version to use. So this video describes how to set up the environment using, Vmware Player. The instructions I found to perform this task are at the following link. When I go to how to install InetSim, this turns out seems to work fine. Well, as far as the setup is concerned, thanks to Kev. Anyway, so there that is, and we'll come back to it. Let's go down, and I lost my place. Okay, so I'm assuming that you already know how, or will find out within, searching on Google, how to install Windows 7 or XP in a virtual machine. You can get copies of XP on the internet. There are some, like eBay, it can be pretty cheap. I guess it all, obviously, it all depends on the seller rating and stuff like that. Just make sure you get the right copy. But anyway, that's a whole different issue. I won't dwell on that now. Let's see here. So what you first need to do is get VMware Player. I mean, you can use other virtual machine software, but I use a VMware Player, and this presentation is for VMware. So anyway, I click on this link right here. Well, what you can do is you can Google for download VMware Player free, and basically you click the link and then you install an application, and then it comes up with this right here, which is this step icon. And I have some machines built already. This one right here is my malware machine. This is Kali Linux, which is used for penetration testing, and this is another website development that I have going. Anyway, I'm going to close this out. Let's see, continue onward. So, assuming that you've installed VMware Player, then you get Turnkey Linux. So, basically, that's in this instruction here is Turnkey. Installation. Well, it's pretty easy to do. Now, one thing I'm not going to do is install VMware Tools. I had trouble. I don't know exactly what I'm doing wrong, but VMware Tools lets you copy from in between the host and the guest. Let me go to Turnkey Linux here, and I click. I go down to the bottom, core, and then I click the ISO. So it saves the ISO, and then just take my word for it, please. Right here, Turnkey core, this is the ISO. So once you have the ISO, you can create VMware machine pretty easily. So you say create new one. So notice here that you can install with DVDs. So that's for if let's say you buy Windows on the internet and you get a disk, you can do that pretty easy. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and use this and say next, Linux, and then I'm just going to say inet. Okay, so when I click play virtual machine over here now, it's going to run what's on the disk as if you booted from that disk, which you can do if you have a hard disk. If you burn that ISO to a hard disk, it'll, or I mean a DVD, it'll boot up as long as you go into your what is it, BIOS, and make sure that it boots the DVD first. But it's another topic. Anyway, I go in here and I click the first option, enter, install, and then so what we have here is the installation occurring. Okay, I just press enter there, and then I say write changes to disk and configure LVM. Sure. I mean, a lot of these I'm not entirely clear on what some of them do, but they work. The system gets set up properly. So there's some guesswork involved, I'll admit it. Install Grub bootloader. Yeah, I always got to do that. It's not going to mess up your host. Yeah, it's not going to mess up your host at all. So then, wow, that was quick. I say restart. And then so it automatically goes into the first option, which is fine. I forget what that second one is. I don't know. So you choose your password the first time you come in here. I'm choosing something simple this time. Now I'm going to skip this down arrow, right arrow, and skip. And then I'm going to okay. This will install security updates right now, which I'm gonna skip because it went slow, and I don't want to slow up the video. Now this is the menu that you're gonna see when you first come in, when you boot up each time in the system, and it lets change, different. Well, networking, I guess, is the only thing it really lets change. But you can reboot, shut down, or quit. Now let's go into look at networking. It's DHCP, which is it's going out to the internet because this is a NAT connected device, and that's how any computer connected to the internet on an ISP. Let me go to virtual machine settings. See right there, NAT. Now eventually we're going to change that so it's custom. But for now, we got to get some stuff off the internet. I will do updates, but off camera. When we do change it, I'll have to change the static IP here when we come in. But in any case, I'm going to hit Tab and say back, and then Escape. I think that works. Escape is quit that first program, and then go to boot up. So, or log in. So root pw123. Okay, so now at this point I go back to the instructions. Turnkey here. I have some interesting things that we have to do. That's not it. It's not turnkey. It's we want to go to the how-to article. So we edit sources.list. Okay, that's what we're going to do back over here. Now that uses Nano, but I'm going to use a different one because I know how. I was forced long ago to use Vi because it was the only tool that we had at the time. So I know Vi. Now I know Nano is easier for new people. I recommend you use it if you're new. So we're editing. There's a sources list. It's a list where when you run an update command or a get command, it has the approved repositories of software. So in here I'm going to put down DEB, and it has to be typed exactly. TP InetSim.org archive signing. Nope, I jumped to the wrong line. InetSim. W. Binary / okay, double check that deb. I don't see anything wrong. Alright, so this wget, I type it right. Wget -o. I typed it wrong in the past, so InetSim.org archive signing key ASC apt dash. Before I do an install of InetSim, I have or before you do an install of any application in Linux, it's recommended that you do an apt-get update, so all dependencies are up to date. And it's always good to do that at least once a day. There's ways you can automate it, but we won't go over that right now. So I'll go apt-get install InetSim. I go back to the instructions. I'm not doing everything in these instructions, but I'm going to do most of it. So I'm going to edit etc default InetSim. Enabled should be set to 1, which I had done. It is 0 when you first come in, but I had to uninstall, to redo this demonstration, so it obviously didn't remove this file, which is a little concerning. But now there's one in that, it's saved, and then we go into this other file, which is the config, main config, vi etc InetSim InetSim.conf. Okay. Now, this is commented out, starting out, but since it didn't remove during my uninstall, it didn't remove this file, this is the IP address of this system that I'm going to use, 10.1.1.60. I believe that's the only thing. Well, let me go and see if I change anything else in there. DNS. See a DNS port. DNS default. Yeah, that's something that they recommend further down here, that you set the DNS default IP to return with DNS replies. I guess, if someone types any web address, this is what should come back. To start the service, service InetSim start. Maybe started already. No, it wasn't. But we'll be able to scan this system from the other box. So I have everything I need, and what I can do now is change the network settings. So I'm going to reboot. The only way I know how to do that at this point is to say power off, come back in, inet. I have the settings of the system over here under it's NAT, I need to change it to this custom. Let me power it off. Let me say escape. Do you want to escape? Okay, I'm out of that application. I'm going to power off. There's two settings that have to be changed. So let's go into right click, settings, network adapter, custom. Okay. Now let's boot it up. Yeah, the second line there said recovery mode. Interesting, I never had to use that type in the Linux build. So, networking, static. It doesn't let you overwrite. 60. See, that matches what's in InetSim right there in the config file. This is 255, 255, 250, and that's what I've read on the internet to set to. And it's also on this page over here. Come to this instruction. Well, on all the machines in the subnet you set to the same. Now this is for the malware box, but subnet masks seem the same, and not entirely clear on default gateway, but I don't think it may not matter. I'm going to set it to this machine 10.1.1.60, name server 10.1.1.60. Okay, now I'm going to hit tab, apply, escape, yes, root, pw123. Now I'm trying to think of where I need to go to verify. Okay, netstat -an. Okay, I got a bunch of listeners going here. That's what we want. It's faking services. So I'm going to quit. Well, no, I'm going to leave this machine running and go into the Windows box. Now, I might have already messed with some of the settings in this Windows box. I had to stop this video multiple times due to audio difficulties. So there may be a little bit of a gap here and there. Sorry about that. Anyway, I'm going to continue down. I pressed the Windows button. Well, let me maximize. Okay, yeah, right here. Open Network and Sharing Center. Change adapter settings. Right click. Properties. We go to Internet Protocol version 4 properties. Now, normally by default it would say obtain IP address automatically and obtain DNS server automatically, but you have to change it to these. In my case, this is what the IP address is. I mean, you could use a different subnet setup, you know, but you want to make sure this IP address is in the same excuse me, same subnet mask, I guess you would say, the other machine, which 10.1.1 is the beginning of both those IP addresses. So then the subnet mask matches. The default gateway is this InetSim computer, and preferred DNS server is the InetSim So what I'm going to do is, it should be working now. Let me say diagnose. No problems. See, I got a little, when I press this, see that little exclamation point? I'm not clear on what that means. Okay. Remember how we set the default site to go to, or IP address for any, is this right here. So, well, 10.1.1.60. And this is the message that comes up when you go to the fake InetSim site. So if we do that 10.1.1.60, it'll go there too. You get the same message, but by 61, it won't. So if you got a hard-coded IP and it's trying to get out, it's not going to find it. See, it's just connecting down here. I want to show the ports that are accessible from this. This is where malware will run. And I want to run Nmap, Zenmap is the GUI for Nmap. That's InetSim's address. T4 means super fast. The -A would slow it down because it does a lot more stuff, but this is just checking ports. Okay, we have ports open, it says. I'm trying to, improve my presentation skills by reducing the filler words and stuff. So I'm pretty sorry that you had to be annoyed by constant anyway and and stuff. I'm working on it. Hopefully this helps you though. This is as far as we go.